Welcome to In the North Bank and Cannon Fodder TV. This is the big Sunday show. I'm joined by regular Richard and Georgie boy. How's it going?
Good. Oh, I was just like, I was all right. Then I was really annoyed, and then I was all right because Spurs lost. So cheered me up a little bit, but generally I'm all right.
Good. And yourself, Richard? You had a week off last week.
Yeah, which was probably good because I sort of got something else came up at the last minute as well halfway through the stream, so I had to leave and not carry on in chat, which was a shame. But all good. Just a bit wet from work, but drying out slowly.
Yeah, no, so it's been a horrendous day, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, look, another away trip. Not the result we probably hoped for. A draw, 1 point. Lots to get through. So yeah, join us after this little quick intro. Well, yeah, so Sunday and storm clouds have been brewing over the UK, and yeah, most recently over the good old Tottenham Stadium. So where we've been treated to a nice game of football to finish the afternoon. But yeah, Southampton away, and it's been horrendous at times recently. I think we've won 3 games in the last 8, or make it 3 games in the last 9. After today, 1-1 draw, where we saw another kind of Jekyll and Hyde performance, didn't we, from the Arsenal, and yeah, a good start. I think you look at the way we started that game with lots of energy, lots of movement, and we looked like we were up for it. And when we took that lead, it looked like there was only going to be one winner. But yeah, that second half just hit us again, didn't it? Two away games on the trot, and that kind of pattern, didn't it? So your first half was really good. And then the second half, just a totally different performance. What did you think about that, Richard? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it sounded from because I was listening to Sky Sports commentary on the phone as I was working, and right up to sort of about 25-30 minutes, we seem to be in control. We got the goal, and we were going well. And then that Hartel made that switch to a back 5, and even though we still controlled the rest of the first half, we struggled with that to get the same sort of fluency and into them as well. Once they made that change.
Yeah, no, it's certainly made it a bit trickier, certainly in those more central areas. I think we struggled with width today. There were times with Martinelli getting forward, but they seemed to kind of handle us fairly well. And then when Martinelli went off, yeah, we kind of lost that kind of real threat. George, similar to the Leeds game.
Yeah, we're like bipolar FC, aren't we? Like it's just like 1 minute, like we start the games really strong, and then it's like a different team comes out. Like when Xhaka scored, I thought, oh, what a start! Because normally, like you said, away in Southampton's our bogey team. I've always said that. Like even I said to Peter before today's game, I'm nervous about today's game. I was more nervous about that game than Spurs.
Yeah.
Because like we just don't get nothing at Southampton normally. So I suppose getting a point's quite good recently. But yeah, the same thing with Leeds. Like we started off the better team and then just faded away. Like, is it the Thursday Sunday routine? Is it that, or are they starting to get into a bit of a unnecessary habit of starting off strong and then not being able to follow it through? I think it's more we haven't got the squad to put them pressing intense performances in throughout the whole game on a Thursday and a Sunday, because I think the last couple of Europa League games, most of the first team have been playing, either coming on or starting. So I don't know. It's like there's a lot of ifs and like buts with today's game. Like you could go down the route of the referee obviously allowed the Southampton defender to do a Superman punch on Jesus, like you can ignore, but then trying to stay away from the refereeing performances a bit. In the second half, we just was not good enough, so like we deserved nothing from that. And if we're honest, we probably didn't deserve nothing from the Leeds game in the second half either. So it's something Mikel's got to work on. He's got to say to him like, because realistically, even like I was saying this to my friend, like the people he brought on, like Vieira and Ketty, I didn't think they'd done much today. So, and they can't be tired. They hardly play. Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe it's we've had this problem for a little while though. Like on and off, we start really well and then just fade away. Like even last season, there was times that happened. Like you look at how we started against Spurs, and then we know what happened there. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that when we're talking about, say, those subs today, I think it was just one of those where whoever you brought on, I think when you've got so many kind of parts of that team not playing to how they should be playing,
yeah,
I don't think there'd be too much difference in whoever you would have brought on.
No, I don't think
we were wasteful in midfield. We were very kind of poor.
Partey couldn't put one pass together.
Yeah, exactly. But it was the same with
the worst ever game I think I've seen Partey play.
Yeah, and with Jesus, just again, it just seems a bit. He seems to be a bit anxious with the ball, and again, you do.
Like there was a chance. I think it was Jesus. He had 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. I think it was Jesus.
Yeah,
He should have buried it, like, or at least made him make a save. And he didn't. He just like tapped it to it. Like I was listening to Ian Wright was talking not about that game, but just in general. That confidence is huge, and I just wonder if it sounds mad because we're top of the table. I wonder if Jesus is suffering with a bit of lack of confidence. And I was saying it off before we come on. Like Tommy Asu at left back absolutely kept Salah in his pocket, but since then I've just not been a fan of it. I think it's one of those things you do now and again, like just to throw the other team off.
Yeah, I think he's that kind of trusted player, isn't he? Just that kind. You'll always have that trusted kind of player, and yeah, it's going to work. Then sometimes it's not going to work. Maybe that's just then the camel.
And I do feel a bit sorry for Nketiah, really, because he's gone back to what he was last season. Like, I know people I've seen on Twitter saying, "Oh, he's crap, he's it," but he's coming on for like the last 15, 20 minutes of games again.
Yeah,
and when he got a run in the team, that was when he was scoring. Like, he scores most Europa League games. Whenever he starts, he mainly scores. So, like, but like you said, Bray, like whoever come on today, I think it was so like in a rut because how that performance, whoever it was going to be, weren't coming. Like you see, like Ramsdale doing stuff that he don't normally do.
Yeah.
Oh, I was saying the first half, I thought Ben White played well because I don't want it all to be negative, but I thought Ben White going forward, which we don't really see of him, was all right.
Now look, the first half again. We know the first half brilliant. I thought
could have won it by then.
It was a decent performance, and it was one that you really wanted to see away from home. The second half, yeah, we'll go into the bits in the second half a little bit later, and obviously in Nketiah. But yeah, we're also joined by Liam the Cannon.
You are, mate.
How's it going? All right?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Yeah.
Pretty
Right,
cheesed
Liam.
off. Totally on the show with that game.
Yeah.
I just think if Jesus finishes his chances, that game's dead and buried in the first 25 minutes. And he had quite a few chances. And it ain't the first game that I've seen him miss a few. He needs to get his shooting boots back on quite quickly, because I don't want to be going down the same road as last year with Aubameyang and Lacazette, where we're missing chances after chances and they're costing us. And I honestly think that Jesus cost us a win today. Don't want to be too harsh on the guy, but the one-on-one, come on. I actually think, do you know what, Eddie Nketiah, if he went through, he'd have probably scored that.
Yeah.
This is what I was saying. Then there was that kind of like discussion before. Is he gonna maybe try and play Nketiah? Is he gonna give Jesus a rest? And then you're suddenly thinking, yeah,
he brings Nketiah on the left, mate.
Come on.
He brings Nketiah on the left. Come on, Come on, mate. Bringing Nketiah on the left is going to do absolute nothing. Martinelli did nothing to be substituted in that game, apart from that he don't want to play Tierney and Martinelli down the left-hand side of a game. It's obvious. It's obvious he's got an issue with Martinelli and Tierney playing down the same side, because he continues to play Tomiyasu. And yeah, Tomiyasu done a fantastic job against Salah, but he's not a left-back. And if I was Kieran Tierney right now, I'd be pretty cheesed off. Pretty cheesed off that Zinchenko's out and I'm not even a second choice left-back. There's something not right there. There's something not right there. And I don't really get it, if I'm being totally honest, because I think Kieran Tierney's a fantastic player. And we was only talking about him last year being captain in this club potentially. And then this year, he can't even get in the team for love or money. And I think he's a big loss, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, ref didn't help us whatsoever. Ref was absolutely appalling. But do you know what? We had enough chances not to rely on the ref today. That first 20, 25 minutes, I've seen that game so many times, mate, over the years, where we have chance after chance after chance. We go 1-0 up and then we go within ourselves. The squad's not big enough. That's obviously playing a part. Thursday to Sunday is hard. Like, you look at it, we played at 5 o'clock on Thursday night. We're playing again on Sunday at 2 o'clock. That's not even 3 days if you count it down properly. And you've got Xhaka and Saka who are playing every single game. They're tired. Saka, I think personally, Saka should have gone off second half, because you could tell he was tired. Don't understand the Ben White substitution whatsoever. Don't know why he just didn't go like for like. Tomiyasu for Tierney. Don't understand why he took Ben White off. I thought Ben White had a pretty good game. I thought he was one of the best players in the first half, Ben White. So I didn't really get that. And I just totally don't get Eddie Nketiah coming on in left wing. He's not a left wing. Put Jesus
had done what he'd done before, like last season. Like, he'll make subs like that you just can't get your head round. Like, for me, like what Guardiola does. They kept comparing him to Guardiola on the radio, saying when Guardiola makes these weird subs. And Arteta has got a bit of that. Like, I agree with what you said, Liam. Like, Ben White first half, hands down, was probably the best player on the pitch. Saka looks like he can just about walk because of how knackered he is. And I just, like, I'd have took Jesus off the way he was playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't have touched Martinelli whatsoever. I wouldn't have touched both of them, if I'm being frankly honest at the time, because I thought, do you know what, we still got that. I would have took Jesus off because he weren't having a good game. Do you know what? Sometimes when you're not having a good game, you got to make a little bit of a statement. That, do you know what I mean? You've had 3-4 chances, you haven't taken it. Going to try something a little bit different, but
yeah, I agree.
It's frustrating because I don't understand why Southampton's a bogey side. I really don't. Like, you see a lot of teams go there and spank them. And we seem to go there and struggle each year. And I sit there and I think it's not an intimidating stadium. I watched I'm a bit observant with things. I was listening to, when you listen to things before the game, like we got the North London Forever song. You got like different clubs like Newcastle, Forest, pretty rowdy. Southampton is so dry and dull when the players are coming out. And you just sit there and think there ain't really no atmosphere there. There ain't no reason to be scared of them. They haven't got any players that you sit there and think, you know what, they're going to turn us over today. And it's frustrating that we failed to beat him again. And yeah, I think the Thursday to Sunday is having a massive part, but we've really got to strengthen the squad in January. But who's out there? That's the problem. But if we don't strengthen the squad in January, then I think we're going to really, really struggle against the second part of the season, because you can see Partey and Xhaka, one of them gets injured. We're back to where we was. We're back to where we was against Manchester United. We're back to where we was last season when Partey got injured, and that's when the wheels will kind of fall off. And we miss another option massively, and I think we need that big time.
I think we're missing El Neni and Smith Rowe, because those are the players that would be in on the Thursday that would give those players a proper rest, and it show, even though we've got a decent enough squad, it shows that 1 or 2 injuries is still detrimental. Detrimental to what we want to do.
The problem is, mate, he doesn't trust the Conga, does he, in the Premier League?
Well, I think we actually miss playing the left back.
The Conga's not a number 6, is he? Let's be honest, he is. If you're bringing him on, you'd rather bring him on to replace Xhaka than Partey. But the issue is he's the only one we've got at the moment that can sit in that role and has a decent passing range, but we've got no one else who can do what Partey does. And Partey's not a number 6 either, is he? Because at Atletico, he was more box to box. So
I don't know what he was today. He didn't even pass to anyone, from what I saw.
His passing in the first half was good, and he broke the lines reasonably well. But again, is it a mentality thing where we get that goal up and think, oh yeah, we can see this game out? But you've also got to remember, we've had Tottenham, Liverpool, sandwiched in by Bodo Glimt. They were all tough games. You've had Leeds that was extremely tough, and then you've had a must-win game against PSG, where you've got to play reasonably strong. And I mean, if you look at, I think on the Leeds game, we didn't get back to the Friday at 5 o'clock. So the amount of training we had between the Bodo Glimt and Leeds wasn't much, and he's got to find a way of managing that. And I think he wants to make sure that he qualifies top of, because he knows that if you don't qualify top, you've got the possibilities of Barca, Juve, Inter, Shakhtar the next to come 2 games against them. You don't want 2 games against them.
I just think it shows the importance of Zinchenko, and that's what worries me.
He's
out.
He holds in that midfield, doesn't it? We can comfortably go to a 2-3-5.
And like Liam said, Tomiyasu's no left back. He might have kept Salah quiet for one game, but since then he's just no left back. And if I was Tierney, I'd be like, hold on a minute, what are you playing?
I think there's going to be serious questions with Tierney in there at the back end of this season, because he's too good to be a player sitting on the bench firstly, but then being looked at as not even a second choice left back in the Premier League. You've got.
It's again down to managing Tierney's fitness and health, because
I did think
this season.
I did think that start with, mate. But I think we get to the point, right? With Tomiyasu's pretty much the same, isn't he, with his fitness as well. They've both been injured for quite a long time. They both come back. I like Tomiyasu, but unfortunately, Ben White's been absolutely superb at right back this year. So, in my eyes, at the moment, Ben White is obviously our first choice right back, and rightly so. But I did think, mate, potentially might be managing it. But then I sit there and I think, do you know what? He could manage it the other way, couldn't he, really? He could play Tomiyasu in the UEFA Cup at left back and play Tierney in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Just a quick one. So Tomiyasu's only played maybe about 70 minutes more or 65 minutes more than what Tierney's done over the whole season as well. So that puts it in perspective about probably where they are at as well with their injuries. So I think they're pretty similar. I do think that he should be played through Europe and giving him that opportunity. So every single game in Europe, and that's his outlet, isn't it? In the end of the day, And you look at it, he's played what? He's played one. He started one game. That was obviously the PSV game, and then had the first 2 games of the thing, which when he got substituted. I think that was a little bit earlier on, weren't it? In his company. So yeah, I thought that kind of space in the Europa League would have been his, if he weren't playing in the Premier League. But
I thought that as well, but then on the radio they said Cedric was warming up before Tierney. I thought, hold on, surely Cedric can't come on before Tierney, because that happens, then but there's surely I know what people are saying about the PSV game, the away one that's coming up, but for me, we need 1 point from 2 games. It's not like don't need it. It's not like we need it at PSV away. So for me, I wouldn't be playing. I wouldn't play any of them.
But do you want to leave it to the last game? Do you really want to go?
Mate, if we don't beat Zurich at home,
we don't beat Zurich.
They don't deserve to win the group.
That game on Thursday was the crucial one. Had we lost that, then that would have been an interesting kind of moment to have been, because we then obviously have to go to Eindhoven, try and get a result, and then you still then reliant on that.
But we should have enough to even get a point with the players we've got.
Yeah, well, look, we should still be right. I personally think we should have been rotating a bit more in Europe, and that means you're giving more opportunities to.
But has Jesus scored in Europe yet?
Yes,
but he ain't scored as much as
he's had 1 goal in Europe.
But what I'm saying, Nketiah is our normal striker anyway in Europe.
Yeah, and he's had 2.
Yeah. So. Me personally, like Braze just said, we should have been rotating a lot. Like the players, if we should be playing people like Cedric, now he's back, Holding and all that. And I'd play them all. I'd rest Saka on Thursday. I'd rest Martinelli.
Xhaka, I think you see Martinelli start, mate. Martinelli start.
He probably will start, but like Xhaka and Saka.
I think Saka will be rested this week, and Martinelli will. Yeah. And Martinelli will start.
I think Ødegaard will be rested because they'll probably play Vieira. But
I think you play Nelson on the right this week.
He's good in Holland, isn't he? So much.
But the problem is, mate, I tell you what he might do. He might play Ødegaard, mate. He might decide to go the Conga, Ødegaard, Vieira again in centre midfield. I don't see him playing Thomas Partey for love or money, mate, because that's too much of a risk. Do you know what I mean?
Gabriel or someone.
It's moulded. Last week's moulded what we're going to do this week. And I know it'll be a tough game because we know the atmosphere is going to be buzzing over there, and it'll be a cauldron. We've seen what their fans were like at home, and it's going to be an intimidating atmosphere. But as I say, we don't need to worry about full strength. We can put in your Holdings and you obviously Turner coming in and look, a Cedric or whatever.
I'd play Tommy Asu and then swap it and play Tierney on Sunday.
In there.
Yeah, Tierney and Cedric, whatever, get them in there.
And I'd like to see Tommy Asu next to Holding as a centre.
Well, I'm wondering now, right, by looking at these substitutions today, is he going to play Ben White centre back with Holding? Because he took Ben White off after 70 minutes. He took Ødegaard off. Makes me think, is he going to play rest Partey in a Xhaka? Because, let's be honest, Xhaka needs a rest. So, in my eyes, I could see Ben White potentially playing centre-back on Thursday, Rob Holding, and Cedric right back.
Surprised.
Well, Cedric right back, Tierney left back, Lokonga, Vieira, Ødegaard, Martinelli, Nelson, and then Nketiah.
Yeah, and for me, that team you've just named should, I'm not saying they'll win, but they'll compete, surely.
Well, the PSV are all right, ain't they? But didn't PSV get knocked out by Rangers? Didn't Rangers win there?
Yes, Rangers beat them in
I'm not being rude.
Exactly. Glasgow
2-0 and then 3-2. It ended up being 3-2, didn't it? Or
3-2
on away goals or something. Oh, yeah, whatever. It was tight.
No, you stopped Cody Gakpo. That's it.
Which they did. They handled him pretty well.
And I don't know. Even if we did lose to PSV, I don't think it's the end of the world, because I think that team that we've just named would beat Zurich anyway. So
that's what I said. That's why I don't think Thursday really matters. I say I'd like to see Marquinhos. I'd like to see Nelson on the other side, and not even risk anyone, and then just have people back ready for Forest to go again, because that's now taken another massive importance where we got to step back on it again and
because I know we're at home, but that won't be an easiest game. They've just done I know Liverpool are not that great, but they've just beat Liverpool, so they're going to be on a high.
Yeah, I mean that game was a little bit of a Liverpool should have won that quite comfortably.
We should have won today.
from set pieces. They had 4 or 5 gilt-edged chances that Van Dijk heading across goal rather than heading into the net, and is it Henderson? He had an outstanding game for them as well. But
it's Zinchenko meant to be back soon.
We need to put the chances away because we will get chances against them. But if we don't,
definitely
they will hurt us.
The top teams put their chances away, don't they? Yeah. Realistically, so
smaller games worry me more than the bigger games at the Emirates. Anyway, if you look at the Aston Villa game and you look at the Fulham game, they were won pretty late on. I always worry about these kind of games. I think we'll roll over Forest. If I'm being totally honest, I don't see them having the pedigree away from home. I think if they're going to win games, it's going to be at the City ground. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they're good enough at the moment to win away games, but and I think we should be comfortably winning that game. But they are the games that kind of worry me because teams sit back, don't they? Low block. And obviously, that's when we kind of struggle to break teams down. But I ain't worried about that game. I think the big thing is, if we are going to play some players, to be fair, this week would be the wise week to play the players against PSV, even though we're flagging a bit. Because that Chelsea game, we need to rest all our players for that Zurich game, really. We do need to be at that point.
I'd be playing the youth team.
Yeah, we need to. We need to. And to be fair, Zurich is shocking. They're like, weren't they at 11th out of 12 or something like that? Or they were at one point when we played them. They were right at the bottom of their league.
They just got beat 5-0 at the weekend by some team who's like in the bottom 3. So
it's shocking. So if we can't get 1 point out of the next 2 games, it's something seriously wrong. You know what I mean? But Chelsea's the big game. And I watched Chelsea last night and I don't think there's nothing to worry about there. I think our pace and the way we play will frighten them.
If they play that midfield against us, we should destroy them because without Gallagher in that midfield, they've got no pace, no real closing down, no pressure, and that's their problem. I mean, it's dire. We saw in the pre-season what that midfield is like.
Yeah. Why do you guys think they won't play Tierney and Martinelli? Because that's the one I can't get my head around together. He just don't seem to do it.
I think it's because Martinelli doesn't always track back, does he? He's and he with Tommy Assel that side, Martinelli doesn't have to do so much tracking back. He can stay in that offensive third and cause more problems in that. Whereas with Tierney, Martinelli has to do a lot more tracking back, which isn't his forte.
I think Zinchenko just sit in, won't he?
Yeah,
he'll just come in
on the outside, isn't he?
Yeah, the sooner he's back, the better. But
it's a shame. It is a massive shame that the whole Tierney Martinelli situation. But
it's a nice problem to have, I think.
It is, but I don't see Tierney hanging around, do you? If it continues like this. We'll get good money out of him. Don't get me wrong. We'll get really good money out. We should get good money out of it. I hear a lot of people going, can he go back to Celtic? He's too good to be going back to Celtic at this age. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Like, do you think we should be selling him, though?
That'd be a silly step for him, I think, going back to Celtic at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's good to have that competition, and because
it is if he gets played in competition. At the minute, he's third choice.
We've got after Christmas, we're going to have more. You're going to have Europa League. We've got a League Cup coming up against Brighton. You're going to have League Cup, FA Cups, and the Premier League on top of the Europa League. So we're going to need every single player we've got possible. And then if we do what we want as fans, and the cover is expecting, which is qualify for Champions League, we're going to need that type of quality you're going to need two players in every position of the same quality, so that you can play one in the Champions League and one in the Premier League.
Yeah, no, I think with him it's just caught in that kind of skill set, in it, where that coming inside and being that kind of midfielder isn't in his arsenal of plays. As a player, it's say he wants to get out on the wings, bomb forward, and be a threat, get the ball, crossing the ball in. That's his power move. That's he likes to get forward and likes to supply the crosses in. The way obviously we are looking to play is obviously having that player that just becomes inverted and tucks in and be's that player in the middle. And he hasn't played that. Yeah, all right. He's played on the left of maybe the back four or back three when he's needed, but to step into midfield and do that is a little bit alien as well. So, yeah, it's awkward. But as I say, he's been out for a long, long time, and he's probably been out longer than Tomiyasu as well. I think as a player, so that does take a lot out of a player. And whether or not it's like I said, you said Liam, you thought about maybe it is his health and it's his fitness, but yeah, the longer it goes on, the more you think, well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's a little bit more than that. But right, let's go into the live chat for a minute before we go back on to a couple of things on the game as well. John Laguna.
Right, John.
In my opinion, we need a world-class striker in January. Eddie won't take us to the next level. Any thoughts?
I was going to say, I think we miss a different type of striker is what we needed. I still think we need another striker. Like when Jesus is doing what he's doing now, we need other options. I'm not saying Eddie's going to take us to that next. It depends what people mean as a next level. Because next level to us last season was getting in the Champions League.
Yep.
And at the minute we're still top of the league, even though it's disappointing today. We are still top. So, if someone said grab a striker in January, the one I would go for is Tony. I think he would do really good at Arsenal. But I think there's other positions that were more as a priority. But we do need, if you want to compete at the top, you'd see all of them. They have about 3 or 4 strikers, don't they?
Yeah. But I'd question that as well. Where I say, all right, we get a world-class striker, but how many world-class strikers? And obviously, we got a term world-class quite broadly because it's been used too much with players, isn't it? Really, like a proper world-class. There's only a handful of world-class strikers.
Not every club has a world-class striker that's in the top.
You can't really have a world-class striker as a number 2 sitting on the bench.
Look at it last season. Man City won the title without a so-called world-class striker.
Yeah, unless you're Man City, who can afford to spend, say, 60, 70 million pounds on a player and then have him sitting on the bench in every position. You know what I mean? It's that's the difference. But
I'd say there's about 6 clubs, maybe not 6, maybe 4 or 5 that probably have a world-class striker. The only ones I'm thinking of is Haaland. Barcelona got Lewandowski. I think he's world-class.
And Benzema.
Benzema. Yeah.
No, then you're really struggling, aren't you? I mean, Mbappe and Neymar at PSG.
I don't think Neymar's world class, but maybe Mbappe.
You definitely need a different option, and I see Nketiah and Jesus as pretty. I wouldn't say the same kind of player. My personal opinion, I think if we want to get to the next level, I don't think really see Nketiah having a massive future at Arsenal. If I'm being honest with you, might get a rip for that, but that's my personal opinion. Do you know what I mean?
I agree with that.
If we want to get Champions League football, we want to compete year in, year out back in Champions League football. I think we need to get a striker who's going to be a different alternative. I agree. There ain't many world-class strikers around. Tony, I quite like Ivan Tony. I think he's confident as well. I think if he went to the right
different
club,
type, isn't he?
He's got the confidence. Like, don't get me wrong. Sometimes he don't conduct himself in a way he should do. But he wouldn't get away with that at a big club, and he'll probably realise that he wouldn't get away with that at a big club. I don't think he's all right. I still think, right, the Juventus guy, it's not going well there whatsoever. That could be another one that could obviously
revisited. Vlahovic, yeah.
Yeah, that could be another one that could be revisited, especially if he gets sacked. And I could see Conte back there.
Yeah, it's so obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, so he'd be the other guy. But I think them two would be the kind of players that I would look at the moment.
You see, in January, I'd rather see somebody come in that can play across the front three. So you can give Saka a rest, you can give Martinelli a rest, or you can push Jesus out to the wings.
Not many people that can do that, really.
Put him through the middle, so you can change those things up, and then wait till the summer, and then go and get another bit of competition for Jesus. But I think we because what do we have if Saka or Martinelli really get injured, or we haven't got that much quality there. Now Nelson looks better on the left than he does the right, but the time he's had at the club, he just hasn't produced so far, unfortunately.
I don't rate Nelson.
He's got the talent. It's just whether he's got the application to fulfill that talent, isn't it? And I'd also like to see us go in and get a midfielder in January, because I think that's where somebody so that we can freshen it up. Somebody maybe, I know we'll have Al-Neni back, but you want somebody who can go into that Partey role and you can confidently rest Partey and not even have him on the bench.
No, I just wonder if they're not going for these players because they're like with a striker, like a bit similar. They didn't really go for a centre half, did they? Because they had Saliba out on loan, and then I'm not saying he's going to be the next best thing, but Balogun's smashing goals in left, right, and centre out in France,
and he's a slightly different type of player.
Yeah, so I just wonder if that's why they didn't go for a striker. I thought, we'll see how Balogun does this season. Same probably with Charlie Patino. Same with...
Well, Patino's rocking it up.
Yeah, and like Cuthby, Norton, like these players are in positions that we are trying to go after. So I just wonder if they're like, oh, well, if we can get someone in that position, we will. Like they with Douglas Luiz, they tried, didn't get him. So, but I'm just wondering if that's because that's the sort of way they went with Saliba, wasn't it? So I don't know. I think, like Liam said, if we want to get to the next level, because I think the way we started our season, if we didn't get top four now, that's a huge failure. Like the teams around at the moment, I know a lot can change, but if we're trying to look to finish second, third, around that, I don't think Nketiah, or like if Jesus, God forbid, got a bad injury and we were stuck with Nketiah, I don't think he gets us there. But if you had someone brought in like Vlahovic or maybe Tony, or I don't know, even maybe someone like Jonathan David, like he wants to leave from I think he plays for Lille. I think them sort of players probably push us a bit further. But I'd like to see Balogun after a season out in France, because he can only do what he can only play in front of who he's going to play against, like Saliba did. And Balogun, he ain't done too bad from games I've watched.
Yeah, I've watched quite a bit, and he's improving, and he's improving his all-round game. So which is what you want, and he has been knocking the goals in. So if he can stay injury-free and he keeps the sort of form he's on, he could come back, and we could be selling Nketiah. The reason we gave him the contract is just to protect his value. It wasn't, and it's sort of, well, we're going to give you a chance, we're going to back you. let's see what you do, and if you don't do it,
I think it's proof that he was protecting his value, because he ain't really been given a chance in the league, because he's just cup striker, really.
Yeah, but he could do well. I just don't. I'm not sure that he's the striker that you need to get you to winning titles. Is he?
No,
He's not. Yeah, I mean, if you
are we at that stage yet of our development? Are we saying that we are challenging Chelsea for the title? Oh, sorry, not Chelsea. Sorry, it's Man City.
I was going to say, we're definitely challenging Chelsea.
Well,
nah.
Well,
no. So that's
you
say
no, but
no.
We're doing something that those top teams, that City, do all the time. It's get results when they're not playing well, when they're having an off day, and we're doing that. The only game we didn't get a result, and we didn't have an off day. We were pretty damn in control against. It was just defensively poor. Was Man United. Every other game, you look at these. I think that was probably our worst performance of the season. Yet we still got a result. Yeah. And if you can do that against teams, they say that's a sign of a title challenge inside. Yeah, we all know that City are favourites. We all know that they should win, but none of us know what's going to happen at the World Cup. No one knows who's going to come back fit, with confident, in form. So we've got to wait and see. And if we're in this position just after Christmas and we do strengthen, why can't we go on and challenge?
No, look, I think our plan was to be the best of the rest.
Yeah,
I think that was it.
Challenging for second,
if the others don't want to jump up and step up to it, I mean, we were aiming to be close to third place than we were last year, get in the Champions League, and then see if we could then maybe claw some of the gap back from against City and Liverpool.
I mean, I said at the start of the season I wanted to be not 9 to 10 points closer to Man City and Liverpool when we were last season, which would put us 9 to 10 points behind, which isn't bad. But given the way we've started the season and the way we're going, and I put it out on Cannon Fodder as well. If you include the pre-season friendlies and the behind closed doors games, we've had 20 odd games this season, and we've only lost 2. So that's consistency. You can't say that we're not being consistent. I know it's only pre-season and behind closed door friendlies, but you've still got to do the business and win because that's confidence and that builds consistency. And this team is building that consistency.
Well, this last 2 games away has shown that we are not still at City's level, just from that consistency from their side. You know what I mean? They could be under pressure, like they were yesterday, and up pops De Bruyne and scores a cracking goal.
Yeah. Where are City really? I mean, you'd say possibly right back and left back is their only two positions. They don't have two genuine world-class options to swap in and out. Everywhere else on the team, they've got they could drop somebody in and out, and the quality doesn't
I
change.
don't know. I wouldn't say Nathan Ake is world class, but
No, but you could drop him in for a game and get away with it. But you've got Cancelo, Diaz, Stones. Who else is in there? You've got Ake, but you've got that Kenji now. And then you've got is it the right back is Walker, isn't it?
Yeah, don't worry. He's injured now.
And that's that's probably their weakest area on the thing, because if you go into the middle of a part, you can put in. You've got Foden's, Grealish's, De Bruyne's, Gundogan's, Rodri's, and you could pretty much drop in and out, and you've got I think they've got Liam Delap that's gone to Stoke-on's, who's pretty decent, and then your forward line, you've got Alvarez, Haaland.
Yeah, lots of players. Let's let you.
Yeah, they've got a squad of 25 players, and they can rotate, and you don't notice that drop off. We're not at that stage yet. We know we're not at that stage yet, but we do have, in certain positions, that ability to where you won't notice a drop off. And I think what I've noticed with the last few transfers is that we're getting players that can play 2 or 3 positions and add that versatility. And do it well.
Okay.
I'm wondering if maybe in January will be where he goes again. A midfielder that can play all 3 midfield positions, a forward that can play across all 3 positions, and sort of add to that versatility of the team again. But because if you look at it at the moment, we've got White, we've got Zinchenko, Jesus can do it, Saka can do it, Tomiyasu can do it, Suarez can do it. That's 6 players in that. In even Xhaka, if you really, he can play the holding, he can play the number 8. So you're getting up towards nearly a full team of players that can play in several positions across the field.
Yeah, no. All right, we know we're still miles away from them, player wise. Just being able to rotate. So yeah, it's not. Liam, you got anything to mention about where we should be as a club? Again,
we ain't gonna win it. I don't see that whatsoever. I think I just look at where we are now and who's in 5th spot, and what's the difference at the moment in terms of points, because we just need to get into the Champions League. That's the priority.
Yeah.
Our first priority is to get into the Champions League and start being able to attract the higher caliber of player, which we've been failed to do over the last 6-7 years. So if we are in a title hunt come 25-30 games, then that's an incredible season, and we've overachieved, in my opinion. But Man City are a machine, aren't they? Look, they got probably one of the best attacking midfielders, if not the best attacking midfielder in the world, in Kevin De Bruyne, and they've got.
Right, so Liam, Newcastle, we're 7 points ahead of Newcastle in 4th, 7 points ahead of Chelsea in 5th, and 8 points ahead of Man United in 6th.
That's nothing after 11 games, though, is it? We're being totally honest. We was well ahead of Tottenham last year, going into 30 games. So, it's a nice.
They had a 9-point lead, and we only had a 4-point lead, didn't we? So
it's a nice buffer to have. But
yeah,
if we've got that going into March and April, then do you know what? I'm pretty confident. I am pretty confident. But as we've said, I don't believe the squad's nowhere near strong enough it's nowhere near strong enough. And when you talk about League Cup starting in November, and that will go into over Christmas, into the New Year, there'll be quite a lot of rounds of the League Cup. You talk about the FA Cup, then you talk about UEFA, and you've got all them games going on, and then you've got the Premier League going on. This squad is nowhere near ready to compete on all them levels, and that's the honest truth. You know what I mean? Even if we get Emil Smith-Rowe back and El Neni back, I still don't believe we're anywhere close to like being where we need to be able to compete on all four levels. So I think priority has to be the Premier League this year, without a shadow of a doubt. It has to exceed the UEFA Cup as well.
That has to be our priority.
Yeah, of course it does. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, it'd be nice to win in Europe, but
if we get to the quarterfinal stages, then we have to start taking that competition seriously. And
depends what the Premier League's like, though, don't it? Yeah, depends, because like you said, if we're 7-8 points clear, I don't think this year we can prioritise the UEFA Cup for love or money. I think if we get to the quarterfinals, that's good. Do you know what I mean? But I still think the Premier League's got to be prioritised. The whole reason why Unai Emery didn't get into the Champions League that year is because he prioritised the UEFA Cup. And if we always remember that Crystal Palace selection at the Emirates where Cole Jenkinson and Mavropanos all started, if he had started his first team that day, we'd have got Champions League football. And I just don't want to go down that kind of road again. And I hope that the club have learned from that, because that was a big foul for me.
Hopefully, if the club says January, Arteta is what you need.
But I think we're like 5 or 6 players away from even being anywhere near that.
We're overachieving at the moment. Yeah, no one expected Arsenal to be top of the league going into the back. Reality is we should beat Forest next week. So we go into November, top of the Premier League, potentially, yeah, right? No one would have said going into November, Arsenal will be top of the Premier League. We're normally out of it.
We're normally out.
We're well out of it. Yeah, we're well out of it.
So it's nice to be actually talking about.
Yeah, if we can get into the Chelsea game and get a positive result out of them. And look, Wolves at the moment are in disarray. But they're the kind of games that worry me with Arsenal. Like Southampton State, the teams that you sit there and you think, do you know what, we should be beating them. Wolves has always been a hard game for us going to the Molineux as well. We got a good win there last year. It was backs against the walls again last year, but we got a good win there. If we can get into the World Cup break and we're top of the Premier League, that's a massive pat on the back. Well done to Mikel Arteta. The club has done really well in the first part of the season, but we are nowhere near strong enough. And with the World Cup as well, you can't guarantee what player's going to come back fit. If one of them players wins the World Cup, are they going to have a hangover because of that? Do you know what I mean? Because it can have the other side of the effect.
How much rest are they going to get? Yeah. Because normally you get a 4 to 6 week rest after a World Cup, don't you? I don't think we're getting that this year.
No, you're not going to get that, are you? So it's one of our players wins the World Cup. It's not like where they can go out on it for about 3-4 weeks and celebrate it. You're back playing Boxing Day football at the Emirates on a Boxing Day night potentially. So we do need to strengthen, and I can only see us getting 2 players at most. But even when we get 2 players in, I still think that's a hard ask with all competitions.
Yeah, I said when we were looking at, say, going into Premier League at the start of the season, we needed to get to say that competing on the Champions League, we probably needed between 8 and 10 players, or 8 and 10 new signings. Obviously, that was then with players that we kind of had in and around the squad. Stripping it down to where we was at the end of last season made that still look quite small in comparison when you look at getting in the quality. To actually deal with those games. So 8, 9 added on to the 14 that we actually had. So you ended up 22, 23 players. Yeah. And then maybe a few
only 15, 16 of them are what you'd call top quality. If you take out your Turners, your Suarez's, your Nelsons, your Marquinhos's, your Lokonga, no disrespect to him, and they're not of the same quality as the players they're replacing, are they?
Well, in the end of the day, you still have to look at the quality of the squad itself.
Yeah.
Is the squad more stronger than it was, say, last year or the year before? I'd probably say yes. maybe we're a little bit. Well, we are a lot shorter in attack if we were just looking at names. Obviously, we had Aubameyang and Lacazette. Not prolific in the latter part, but when you look at it on paper, there is quality there.
They're still there, aren't they?
Yes, but you've got that. So yeah, have we got rid of a lot of guff from the squad? Yes, we have. And now it's about filling that with bums on seats that are of decent quality. And we have brought in players that are better, but obviously it's not finished. We do need to strengthen in January, and we do need to get a further bump, I would say. And that's that little jolt at the backside to say get a bit more quality to help us through that period, because it's going to be tough come January, because 2 games against City, is it? They're going to be in January, aren't they?
Yeah, so, and we know we haven't got a squad to go for a quadruple or challenge for every cup out there. So it's down to Arteta to pick and choose the games that he's going.
I said if we get top 4 and won a trophy like a cup, I think that's way overachieving.
Yeah, I mean,
for me.
If you could go into the FA Cup, you could be playing the first few rounds. You get Northampton and lower league sides, and then you can play your kids and you can play your second string quite comfortably and rest. But if you're playing a Man United or Liverpool in 2 or 3 across 2 or 3 rounds, you're going to have to play your stronger teams if you want to progress in it. So and we.
I fancy my chances against Liverpool at the minute.
Yeah, they're not doing well away from home, are they? They're doing terribly. But that's not our problem.
No.
Our problem is us. Keep getting points on the board, keep doing what we're doing, and see where it takes us. Because let's be honest. Our idea is to get Champions League football this year. If we're challenging for the title, we're in Champions League football, and that should be the mentality. Let's try and do this. Let's go for it. Let's see where it takes us.
Well, I say we're going to ride the crest of the wave, aren't you? And at the end of the day, you want to get as many points on the board as possible. And if we're in that position where we suddenly say, well, actually, we're still second, or we're still going toe to toe with the others, then we'll obviously take it and ride it, because we all want Arsenal to be as high as we can, but there obviously still has to be that sense of realism as well. But look. We've done fantastic this season, so 1 draw or whatever won't diminish what we've done. We know it shows a little deficiency in what we actually need, I think, just in that terms of consistency and being able to replace and bring in players. But look, I think we've gone off a little bit from the match itself, because there's loads of talking points about how we've done and everything like that, but look, I've got to highlight one, and so I don't know whether or not it's just he just wants a little limelight. I don't know, but this guy in chat,
I love this guy. He gets everywhere.
Fucking Bell. 3 wasted years and £400 million wasted. Conte got top 4 in 5 months, spending nothing. Do you not have standards? There's numerous stuff.
Did he get top 4 really? Or did we gift it in the end?
Well, look, there was an interesting thing about saying about the 1-0s. Our 1-0s being very very small margins, and real small margins between obviously a win or a loss.
Yeah,
but so is 2 points.
Yeah,
and this is what I said about had we played, say, Nketiah last season, a few games earlier, we would have been in that position. I've no doubt that Nketiah would have got a couple of goals which we were crying out for when we were struggling. And had that change been done earlier, and this is what I say about him this season, maybe it does need a run. Maybe he just needs a run, and then Jesus comes off the bench and just alternates around that much.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd like to pick up on his comment was the 400 million wasted. We've only spent 376 million in Arteta's reign, because part of the 400 plus million they're talking about was in Emery's reign, and we only spent 19 million in the January that Arteta took over from Emery.
Yeah, I don't worry about what 400.
It's semantics, I suppose. It's which way you look at it.
We've bought in players that will improve us. I think all over. I don't think there's any signing that
we've got a team that
and does Conte
can rely on other players. They don't just rely on one or two that play up front.
Yeah. Has Conte won anything at Spurs?
No.
I think Arteta's won an FA Cup, hasn't he? Well, in these 3 years.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not sure whether or not he's
he does. Yeah.
Fan or I don't know. I struggle.
Bit of a salty comment.
Yeah, it's one of those. But we've seen it.
I like the one he's just put up as well. That's an interesting one.
We've seen it. They've got a world-class manager, apparently world-class manager. But again, look at the football they play, and if anyone would say that they would love Conte at Arsenal,
no thanks.
No, thank you.
I find it really.
There were two managers I'd never want to see at Arsenal, and that was Mourinho and Conte.
Brendan Rodgers is another one.
Yeah,
I don't know. I could pout a few eggs at Brendan Rodgers quite happily.
Clucking bells, as Conversation Club said. Yeah, well, he's got an opinion. You respect it.
We respect it. It's just
that's what's good. But what are your thoughts, Liam? 400 million wasted, or I don't know. Just is it all that bad?
I think we should have got Champions League last year. We should have definitely got Champions League last year. I think that was a bit of a foul at the end of the season. But there's the other side looking at it. The club's been ripped from the inside out, hasn't it? There is a lot of potential there. The squad, as I've said clearly, is not strong enough, even still now. We have to get Champions League football this year.
Yeah, I think that's a must.
It's a huge failure if we don't.
Big questions will be asked this year if we don't get Champions League football. Do I think we'll get Champions League football? I hope so. I'm not going to say yeah just yet, but it's interesting. Newcastle coming into play now, aren't they? They're going to go out and strengthen in January as well, 100%. They've got some unbelievable results this season. They've gone to the big clubs. Drew at Man United, drew with Man City at home, beat Spurs today. They're in the mix as well now. Liverpool can't stay shit forever. They'll come back at some point. And then you look at Man. I think Man United are on the turn. I think once they get rid of Cristiano Ronaldo, it'd be a bit like when getting rid of that egg out of the changing room.
You can see he's got a plan, isn't he? He's got a plan. He's got a plan to kick him butt.
I actually quite like Ten Hag. I think listening to him. I've listened to him a few times now. I quite like him. And then you look at Chelsea. I'm not sure about Chelsea this year just yet, but you can't rule them out. So we saw
Potter's quite good, isn't he?
I think Potter's a good manager. So
I don't think you know what Chelsea are going to get, do you? That's the problem with them.
So that is literally 6 or 7 really strong teams who can compete for top 4 this year. So it's nice that we're sitting top after 11 games. But as I said, it is just 11 games at the moment, and we need to continue this, get into the November break. Top of the Premier League, but we need to go out and buy players in January because otherwise we could fall into the same trap again. And I was really disappointed last January that we didn't get anyone in. I was a little bit disappointed at the back end of this window that we didn't get that kind of winger, kind of striker in that you said. It's obvious we were looking at it because we wanted Rafinha, we wanted Douglas Luiz. So it shows that there's 2 positions that we do want, and it does show there's money there. But as I said, if we fail this year, mate, there's going to be a lot more than just the old.
But that's more.
Bell.
I think that's more Edu and the board, isn't it, than Arteta personally? Because I'm sure if you said to Arteta and he was being open and honest, here's 2 players. Do you want them? He's not going to turn around and say no, is he? If they're of the quality he wants.
I don't know about that. I think if it don't fit into his
I mean, if they don't fit what he needs, but if you said to him, here's a Douglas Luiz, here's a Jonathan David, or something like that.
I just think they've got to fit into what.
Is he going to turn them around away?
No, but they would definitely have to fit into the way with his project. Like, and I think that's why I think he ain't gone for Tielemans, because he ain't. Like, I think it was Liam I was talking to you about it, weren't we? About the performance he put in against us and Spurs. And I think that's what done Tielemans out of a move to Arsenal, because he just didn't. I don't think he's an Arteta player.
Yeah, you look at the money as well that was being banded as well. I think that was the real key. But then, you saw it, and it almost seemed like he was a little bit maybe down in tools a little bit, and the results and
Arteta don't like that.
There. Yeah, maybe that was it. But look, come January, it looks like Douglas Luiz is going to be a no-go, because he's obviously
signed a 5-year deal, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's going to be huge money. So I would find that incredibly unlikely if that ever happened again.
70 million release clause, apparently.
How much? 70?
Yeah, I'm paying that for Douglas Luiz.
If we were going to do that, that'd probably be a summer one, wouldn't it? But we were looking at Danilo as well, weren't we? So
I'll tell you what, I like the look of that Alvaron I've got for Newcastle. Though I think he's been very nice.
Goal he scored today was quality.
If we were gonna chuck money at a striker a midfielder that was actually doing stuff in the Premier League, and he had his kind of like, I think, poor kind of part when he first come to the Premier League, and he weren't all that. He was very slight, and I think he just used to fall over everywhere and just not do anything. But this year he's a changed guy, and that goal today was well taken. And you suddenly think, just a bit of pace and a bit of explosiveness just kind of coming forward. It might be an interesting addition.
I quite like that Trossard in Brighton's Trossard on that left side of midfield where Xhaka is. He's all energy, and he does have a goal in him as well.
Yeah, no, he's got good strike on him. But there's lots of.
There's more positives than like on the whole about today's game. Like, I think there's more positives than negatives. If someone was back, they would have thought we'd lost. But I'm happy that, not happy, I'm gobsmacked and ecstatic. We're top of the league. We're not anywhere at that level, but we just, game by game, we've got Forest, Chelsea and Wolves. I think they're before the World Cup. So if we can win all them, great. If we don't, at the end of the day, we were trying to battle for top 4 last season. We lost to Southampton. So...
it's a game from last season, isn't it? In the end of the day, you look at
that top 4 for me is, like Liam said, is minimum. Like, and I said it before this, I went top 4 is minimum, and if we can win an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup or even go and win the Europa League, then that's an amazing season. But then, I know what will happen. That, like, if we go into a title race in 20 or 30 and 20 games in or 30 in, and then we fall away and we finish second or third, there'll be fans saying, "Oh, well, we bottled the title race." They can't win, really.
And TalkSport and a lot of other media channels are already heading that way, aren't they?
I don't need to worry about them.
Yeah, but the story's already changing from, Arsenal need to get top 4 to teams with this many points at this stage have never. We're the only team ever not to get top 4.
Yeah, I won't pay much attention to TalkSport, mate.
Yeah.
I honestly think, though, it's going to be really hard to win a cup this year. And people will say that's negative. But I actually think it's going to be really hard to win a cup, because when we sit here and talk about the squad ain't big enough and strong enough.
Issue, isn't it?
That will we don't want to be risking players in the FA Cup and League Cup if it means.
The only thing is if teams go out early in the Carabao Cup, because
let's be honest. If you're looking at cups, you've got to beat City, you've got to beat Chelsea, you've got to beat Liverpool, Tottenham. and any other Premier League side to probably win it, because you're not going to. It's very rare now.
Chelsea have got Liverpool, haven't they?
Yeah.
In the first,
and it's the same for the League Cup. So, and then if you go this year in the Europa League, it was going to be before we saw the where the Champions League group stages were. Your biggest contenders were Man United and Roma. Now you're looking at Barcelona, Juve, Shakhtar Donetsk. Is it Marseille?
Marseille.
Eintracht Frankfurt. Even Tottenham could come down into it. So all the cups are really going to be really hard to win this year.
It's like Liam saying, we ain't got the squad. We're moaning that we ain't got the squad to do it now. So as soon as you go further into a cup competition, we're going to have a similar thing. Yes.
With every cup run, you need a bit of luck as well.
You need to beat what's in front of you, and you need a little bit of luck. But
it is funny that when we were winning and not dropping as many points, there wasn't many people saying about the squad or anything. Like I've said that we should have been bringing at least 5 people in the summer. For me, like to even just compete like on all those cup competitions. But where we're starting to see people like Jesus' form wavering a bit, and I was reading something earlier, and someone said to drop Saliba, and I nearly dropped the phone. So,
do you think that where we used to get top 4, and there was a top 4, people tend to forget that now the quality of probably the top 8 teams are really good and better than when we were regularly in the top 4, and aren't taking that into account?
Sorry, Richard, you broke up there.
Yeah, well, what I was saying was, do you think, because we were getting top 4 under Wenger regularly, do you think that people see that and expect us to do it year in and year out, and don't take into account the quality of the teams up to about 8th position has improved dramatically, but actually it's now not a given that there are any 8 teams could get top 4.
Yeah, it's not a given no more, is it? Like back in the day, like if you look at even when we've got to talk about the Invincibles and all that, like really our only main competition till Chelsea come around was Man United, weren't it? Like Liverpool, they had some good players, didn't they? But they were nowhere near level. But as I said, like if you look at this year, for example, and you bring Newcastle in, and you know they've got more money to spend. You know they're going to spend money in January, and they can blow people out the woodwork. And I think they could be serious challenges for top 4. I'm not saying they're going to get it whatsoever, but they could be serious challenges if they spend well in January. Now you look at the other teams. Manchester United are always going to spend money because of the revenue they get in. Chelsea are just Chelsea, and Man City just Man City. Like Man City, the cream of the crop, aren't they? Really, if we're being totally honest.
I actually think Liverpool are the ones who are going to struggle, not because of how they're doing. Just that midfield, they ain't got one.
I think they're going to struggle to get into Europe this season if they're not careful.
I think they'll get like 5th or be around 5th or 6th, because I don't think there's but I think for that, and not even being big-headed, like I know we drew today, but battling for that 4th place, I don't think Arsenal are in it, because I think we're better than 2 or 3 of those teams, even with the result today.
What happens if we lose Thomas Partey? That's the question, isn't it? Yeah. What happens if we lose a Thomas Partey? Do you know what I mean? Like that is a big blow. What?
Yeah. It's back to square one, isn't it, again, really? Like,
and that's where the big problem lies here. That whenever did you see that win percentage with Partey in the team, 73%? Yeah. And like when he's not in a team and he's got the tendency to be injured and be out for quite a while, what happens if we don't get if we lose him for like 10 to 15 games?
This
Then
is
we're
what I
in a
think.
top four again. Then we are looking at maybe
Would you overplay him until just before the World Cup so he picks up a little niggle? So he's got the 6 weeks over the World Cup to recover.
Yeah,
would you be that selfish?
Yeah, let's hope it's in the 88th minute at Wolves, when we're 3-0 up.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah, would you do that? Play him as much as you can?
Don't get me wrong. From his profession, he wants to play in the World Cup. It's like it's the pinnacle, isn't it, for a player to play in the World Cup? From a selfish point of view, from my point of view, I'd rather he's sitting indoors resting, just recovering all the time.
That's right. I think we need to
worry, he could go out there and get injured. That's the worry now, isn't it? That we don't know. Like these players, even though we're sitting there going, "Oh well, the season stops in November, so we'll be all right," but no one knows what we're going to come back into in December. Like, could we lose a few players due to injuries due to the World Cup?
Yeah, but that's the same for City. That's the same for Tottenham.
We're
not
a big game changer.
And it's the same. It's the same with all the pundits. They're saying about it. No one knows what's going to happen in this with this World Cup. Because it's never been done before.
The difference with that is City, like the other squads, I don't think are as reliant on a player like Arsenal are with Partey.
City's probably the only squad that might be able to deal with it. But then again, City have almost every single one of their players are internationals and are going to the World Cup.
Apart from Haaland.
Apart from the main names.
I think we've got three or four definites not going. Nketiah won't be going. Odegaard's not going.
Tierney and Zinchenko.
Tierney, Zinchenko. Elneny's is that?
Right, he's injured though, so he won't go.
Would he be going anyway? Because is Egypt not? I don't think Egypt.
Probably he plays regularly for Egypt.
Are Egypt in it? I don't think Egypt's in it. Are they?
But if they was in it, he got power of the tournament in the AFCON. So
So there's five of our players, and
I just think we need a backup for Partey.
Yeah. We'd have easily got top four last year, wouldn't we? If Partey stayed fit, we'd have had top four.
If we had Zinchenko and a backup for Partey, we would have got top four.
It was. I don't think it was just Partey, was it? I mean, when we those last few games, we had Partey out, we had Tierney out, we had Tomiyasu out. That's a big
for me now
chunk, isn't it?
For me now, we don't miss Tomiyasu if he gets injured. Do you know what I mean?
No.
We don't miss Tierney if he gets injured now. But we haven't sorted out the Partey situation. And Elneny does a good standing job, but
he ain't no.
He's a player who can sit in there for a few games and do a job, but over a severe amount of time, and when you get to big games like Tottenham away, you need your big players in the team, don't you? And for us to get Champions League this year, Thomas Partey needs to be fit the whole season for me, because we haven't got a replacement for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Unless we bring someone in that I'm not saying he got, and then just bring someone in who's maybe not as good, but does the same sort of job as him, which ain't the easiest thing to do either.
No.
Because for Douglas Luiz, that for me that was just a squad signing. That ain't a backup for Partey.
Yeah, no, he was cover for Elneny, wasn't he? Let's be honest. Luiz was Elneny's cover.
I don't think we need cover for Elneny. I think we need cover for Partey.
Yeah,
so
Liam's right. If
Partey gets injured, we're back with Sambi, and no disrespect, we ain't getting top four with Sambi Lokonga.
No, because he doesn't have that presence and that ability to do what Partey does. Partey can sit in there, he can break up play, he can break the lines, and he's got a killer pass on him. Sambi's not bad passing, but he's not going to dominate a game like Partey, is he?
I think we've seen with Partey how he is playing on that kind of like half turn, and then Sambi against PSV was very safe, I would say. So he was playing. It weren't really, there weren't a lot of penetration. It was all, and that's the big key, I think. Very safe options, I think, when Sambi plays. I don't think he plays on that kind of half turn and just looking to play forward and be progressive. I think he literally just is very, just methodical in the way he plays, and just plays it safe, but maybe doesn't want to give the ball away and make mistakes, and therefore he does look like he is playing that safer option. But with that, it just means that he isn't actually getting that kind of output like Partey would do when he tries to pass the ball through to the attacking players. But I think that's the big difference between them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just a quick question from Alex in the live chat. What are the panel's thoughts on Arteta saying top players should be ready to play 70 plus games a season?
That's ridiculous when he's.
I think
it's ridiculous when you talk about you're playing Thursday night football. I think it's, as I said, and I'll keep saying it, it's different if you're playing Tuesday and Wednesday night because you've got a bigger break. Do you know what I mean? You've 100% got the reliability that you're not always going to play on a Saturday, but you could play on a Sunday still, even from a Wednesday to Sunday, Tuesday to Sunday. Do you know what I mean? But when you're in the UEFA Cup, your hands are tied because you've got to play the next week. So you know you're not going to get dragged to a Monday night. So it's always going to be Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah,
and
some of those are like the Bodo Glimt.
Yeah,
you're coming back Friday, late Friday. What sort of preparation time does that give you?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Liverpool did it last season, didn't they? And look at where they are this season. They played in every competition, and at the end of it, they ended up with the two they probably didn't trophies they probably didn't want.
I'd love to know how many actual top players do play 70 plus games in a season.
Not in the Prem. Let's be honest, right? Lionel Messi was a freak. Cristiano Ronaldo was a freak, right? But they played in a Spanish league, which is not physical. Like you don't have tackles flying in left, right, and centre.
No,
the pace is nothing like the Premier League. It's totally different. Do you know what I mean? It's a totally different level, a totally different league. It's a totally different way of playing football. But in the Premier League, if you're telling me, right, every player, seasons in, season out, can play 70 games, especially if you're not in the Champions League, in the Europa League, I think that's a lot to ask from a player.
Haaland won't play 70 games this season.
Look at Saka. Like he's got injury galore, but in the second half of the day,
there's only ever been a few, isn't there? I think players like it was last season. It was James Ward-Prowse, or for a couple of seasons.
De Bruyne has played 59
games for Southampton, but you're not. It takes a very special kind of player to be able to do that.
De Bruyne played 59 last season.
Do you know what, though, George? As well, another way to look at that is, right, it's all right playing games when you've got the ball all the time.
Yeah.
When you're chasing the ball and you're not the Man City or Barcelona or Real Madrid.
But how many of those games, 59 games, did De Bruyne complete more than 70 minutes in?
Well, there you go. I don't know.
Yeah, because if you look at this season, they've been taking Haaland off around about the 60-minute mark because he's already scored his hat trick or he's already scored his brace and the game's won.
I just think that's a bit excessive. Like with Arteta, like I'm a great fan of Arteta, as people know, but saying 70 plus, I think that's not realistic.
Yeah,
pretty much, but yeah.
He didn't. I'm sure he didn't play 70 games a season.
No, I don't think he survived 70 games. He had a big injury.
I mean,
didn't he?
It depends on how you look at that question, isn't it? They should be ready to play that many, but should they have to play that many?
No, they shouldn't have to play that many because it's a squad game nowadays. It's totally different. But should you expect to, if there are injuries in the team and you haven't got a big enough squad, then yes, you should expect to be to possibly have to play that many games because a top player knows that if you're like City's players know, they're going to be challenging for the title. They're going to be challenging for all the cups, so they know there's going to be 70 games in the season that they can play in.
I really hope that Saka don't play 70 games this season. That's my...
Yeah, no, you want to... And again, protection for players, isn't
He'd be
it?
burnt out. And then
I'll tell you what, though, he's likely to play 70 games with the World Cup in between, though, isn't he?
Yeah,
yeah
he could... And this is where we need to look what do
Southgate probably leave him on the bench.
What do the national managers do? What do the like each of the federations do to protect their players? There isn't that much protection for.
But then that just goes back to the vicious circle, doesn't it? If you have a bigger squad, you won't have your same players playing week in, week out. Like if we've got a bigger squad than what we got, Saka wouldn't be playing week in, week out. Xhaka wouldn't. So it goes back to the same answer. Realistically, we need a bigger squad. So because Saka, he must have in the last 12 to 18 months. He can't be that far off over nearly 100 games, can he?
No, I mean you've got to think how many games has he played with the pre-season? That's nearly 20 this season. How many England ones as well? So you're probably looking at 25 games already this season.
Yeah.
Mate, with the World Cup as well, right? That's looking over 70, that's 80. So it could be lead up to about 70, 80 games, couldn't it?
Yeah.
If you have a couple of decent cup runs as well, like what's the UEFA Cup? Like you play 6 games, don't you, in the group stage?
Yeah.
6 in the group stage. Then you play a second round, I think a third round, then a quarterfinal, semi-final, final. That's another 5 games.
Not in the Europa League. Not in the Europa League this season. If we win the group stage, we go straight into a round of 16.
Okay, 16, 8, 4.
You just saved 2 games.
So that's another 6, 7 games. That's another 7 games. So 38.
And
then you've got your FA Cup, 3rd, 4th, 5th.
So it's 51 games just in the Europa and Premier League.
Another 6 there. And I think it's 6. Another 6.
It's a lot of games, basically.
Yeah,
it's a lot of games.
That's 12. Yeah, 40, 50. Yeah, you're looking at what 50 there. Europa League. 1, 2, 3, 4, 12. It's
a lot.
All we need is a countdown theme now.
68, and then you've got the you've got the World Cup as well. So you that's a lot of you're looking at nearly 80 plus games if you go through to the final of the World Cup with the top players this season. That's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. But guys, I think we're gonna have to wrap it up here. I think an hour and a half talking Arsenal, and we ain't really hugely scooted on the game. I know I think the goal was. I think the goal was the best moment of that game. Really,
it was a good finish.
And
I think everything else was a bit dire, wasn't it?
we obviously respect everyone's opinions. Everyone's got opinions, but we could have a show about loads of things. I've noticed there's a couple of things about the where we were obviously back at Highbury and where we are now, and the board. You can make a show out of that as well. Just literally discussing about decisions that we've made as a whole through the management and how that's come around. But that's for another time. But I appreciate everyone in the live chat coming on, because I know it's a very busy room with lots of people getting involved. And thank you to George, to Liam, and to Richard for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
It's an hour and a half. Probably a frustrating day, isn't it? It's just to kind of then come on and just speak about it. We would obviously rather have been speaking about 3 points, but it was
next week.
It was potentially there had we backed it up. But look, we're top of the league, and look, it's been the weekend. We've had a nice break, haven't we? And half term back with the kids and more carnage next week. So yeah, thanks everyone. Really good. And yeah, like I say, tune in. Actually, I'm not sure next Sunday what's going on. I'm not going to be at the Emirates. I've got an under 14 game right at the same time.
And I won't be in the fit state, so I won't be.
Yeah, I'm not sure Liam will be there either. He's
he won't be in one either.
No, Liam's going to be probably on the tequila hunt, I think, on that side. So
George will be misleading him.
Yeah, it's my birthday weekend next weekend, so it was going to be a messy one.
There's always a good excuse.
Well, happy birthday for then, George.
Have a good one, George.
But thanks everyone for coming on the chat. Really good, Colin and everyone clucking bell, some good stuff on the chat. So yeah, tune in next week, and hopefully we'll be discussing another 3 points, and we'll go from there. All right. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
mate.